Hi everybody, my name is Mel'Linda, and today I'm going to be showing you some things about watercolor and how to get started. First, you're going to need some watercolor paint. You could get the ones like this or the ones in the tube will be fine. Next, you're going to need 2 jars of water, one to rinse your color off in and one as clean water to paint with. Next, you're going to need some brushes. Some of the kits come with one brush, but you want a variety of sizes to paint with. You're also going to need some masking tape and a soft pencil. You don't want to use a mechanical one. You're going to need some napkins and some scrap paper to test your color and to clean up stuff. Next, you're going to need some paper. It's important to have the right kind, if not, your paper will rip. We're going to also be using table salt and rubbing alcohol. And then if you have a color pencil, Prismacolor, or even a white crayon will work. So we're also going to be using saran wrap or plastic wrap. Now I'm going to show you a few skills to get started. This one right here is a gradient. You want to start off with the darker color, so you want to have less water on when you first start, and then add more and more water as you go down. If you want to darken it, you could go back in and add some more and just blend it out with the water. It's kind of similar to shading with graphite. You can go over it as many times as you want so you're satisfied with the blend. These colors also dry lighter, so the darker you put them on, the bolder the color will be. Next, I'm going to show you some wet on wet technique. This is painting on wet surface with wet paint. So first I'm going to start by wetting the surface, and then just the drop of paint, and then you see that it starts to expand. This gives you really good organic shapes and blending. It's a really good idea if you want to do like a galaxy background.
Or even just for an abstract painting, or you could use it for a background too. You can also tell that you barely have control over the paint. You could tell where you want to put it, but then it kind of flows in different directions. So if you want something somewhere specific, this isn't the best technique to use. The next one I'm going to tell you about is wet on dry. So you're going to make sure you start on a dry surface and then you start to draw. This is very good if you want to do details or bold lines, or if you want something to stand out, add texture to it, or either for words also. And this one you also have more control over the painting. So I could paint next to a different color and I don't have to worry about it blending into each other. And I also could get some really nice sharp lines with this method also. If I tried to do these lines on wet paint, then it would just bleed into each other and blur my lines out, kind of make them look spiderwebby. Next, I'm going to talk to you about the salt technique. So with this one, we're going to use salt to give our background some texture. So first, you're just going to start with a plain background. I'm going to do blue. And then I'm going to use the salt as some snow. So you want to make sure you have a bold blue background because when it dries, it's going to lighten up again. And then just sprinkle the salt all over where you want it to go. And then you won't dust this off until after your painting has completely dried. And then you'll dust it off. The next one I'm going to show you is a technique with rubbing alcohol. First, you're going to start with the bold background again. This is how I'm showing you, but you can also play around with these techniques yourself. So I'm just going to do a bold background, and then I'm going to use a brush or a Q-tip or something that's not very important because I don't want that getting into my brush. And I'm going to use it to dip the brush into the alcohol and drop little dots on my paper. It kind of gives them like a fireball looking texture, I don't know. I guess you could do multiple things with it, play around. The next one I'm going to show you is a technique using the saran wrap or plastic wrap that you find in your kitchen somewhere. And I think it will look really good on a leaf texture or like plants. It also could be used on ice, or if you want to make something nice texture. So basically you just paint, you want to make sure it's kind of wet, and you stick the plastic on there and you can make it any type of design you want. And then you leave it to dry, and you don't peel it off till the paint is also completely dry again. The next technique I'm going to show you is the resist technique. This one you'll either need a white color pencil, Prisma, pastel, or even a white crayon. And first you write whatever you want to be white and you don't want the watercolor to go into. If you're using something less waxy, you want to make sure you put a lot of pressure on it. That's why I kind of went over these words. And then you start off with like a light wash and you keep working it darker and darker. While the paint is still wet, you could also move your brush around to get rid of those little puddles. And then at the end, you'll have your words or your object that you chose to put there. And it's kind of like a surprise message. The next technique I'm going to show you is the subtractive method. You're going to first start by painting a light wash, and then you're going to use a paper towel or a napkin to wipe off an area that you want to highlight or you want to be white. And this works best when your paint is really wet. So you want to make sure you have a lot of water in your brush when you start, because if you do it too thick, then it'll be harder to get the color as light as you want it to be. I showed you it with black also to show you that it can be done with darker colors. The next technique I'm going to show you is the splatter technique. First, I start by dropping drops of paint onto the paper and then blowing it with a straw. I also use the method of pitting some of the paint water on the brush and then hitting the end of it, making it splash all over in random places. I also played around with getting a whole bunch of water on the brush and paint until it's about to drip off, and then hurry up and put it over the spot. So it's like accidental splashes, and I played with the different sizes and techniques until I was satisfied. This technique I'm going to show you is the negative painting technique. So you first start by outlining what object you want to paint, and then you're going to paint outside of it with the same color and blend it out. So that way the object that you want would really be white, and then the background would be an opposite color. This is great with clouds and different objects that you want to be the same color as the background. Here are some finished examples of the techniques and also how I use the techniques for a finished project.